We are 2 days from the NFL Combine and close to 2 months from the NFL Draft, so that can only mean one thing. It's time to fire up the mock draft machine on Sleeper and get to mock drafting before a loaded NFL Combine on Saturday. I am your host, Shaun Moran, and on today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we are going through the first 2 rounds of a Superflex Dynasty Rookie draft on Sleeper. As always, I'm joined by my good friends, co-hosts, and knowers of ball, Keegan Thompson and Aidan Haller. Aidan, how we doing today, man?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for the combine. It feels like the off season is picking up quickly. It's going to be over, and in 2 weeks we'll have free agency. Close your eyes a couple more times, and we're going to be at the draft. So buckle in. It's time to go. It is time to get ready for the 2024 season.
Keegan, how we living, man?
Doing all right today, Shaun. How are you living?
I'm hanging in there. It's been a bit of a disaster class the past 30 minutes, but we are good. We are rocking. We are rolling, and we are live. If you are familiar with this channel, sometimes we run into some technical difficulties, so it's always good to be live talking ball with both of you. Before we dive into today's episode, if you are part of the 70% of people watching this channel and aren't yet subscribed, go ahead, like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications to make sure you are not missing any of the Regression to the Mean content we are dropping during the off season. All right. You guys ready? Ready to dive in?
Let's do it, man.
Let's
do it.
Aidan, you are going to start us off at the 102. Keegan, you've got the 105, and I am heading up the rear at the 112. I'm ready. Let's hit the start the draft button and let's get after it.
What?
Wow.
Whoa. Someone's got 2
Okay.
QBs.
All right. So yes, Sleeper is always surprising us. The ADPs are still a bit off. Just kind of led us to this point. If I have the 101, I'm taking Caleb every time. I was pretty prepared to take our guy Maserati Marv, but he's gone here. So it's a no brainer. If you're sitting at 102 in your drafts and Caleb Williams falls in your lap, you pretty much don't have a choice. At this point, seems pretty locked into Chicago. Going to be in one of the better situations we've probably seen in quite some time for a first overall pick. So Caleb Williams should hit the ground running at the NFL level and be a pretty nice fantasy asset from day one. Caleb Williams, welcome to the squad. That's crazy.
No bias.
No bias here.
I was hoping Sleeper would do something wonky again and throw in a Malik Neighbors. I would have loved to snag one of the top 3 QBs here at 105, but this is how I think it should probably be in most rookie drafts anyways. At 5, you're going to have your selection of Malik or Brock Bowers or Jaden Daniels. So you have 3 good options here. I actually don't mind. If you have a 105 in your rookie draft, it's a pretty good place to be. For me personally, now that 3 quarterbacks are gone off the board here, I'm going to go with the 1B wide receiver of this class, Malik Neighbors, who would be the number 1 wide receiver in last year's class and could have an argument for previous classes as well, too. He just so happens to be in the same draft as Mr. Maserati. So for me, it's Malik Neighbors right here. I would potentially consider Brock Bowers, but I think Malik Neighbors is going to be insane in the NFL. Potential 1,300, 1,400 yard wide receiver in the making here. So for me, we're going to go with Malik. And like Aidan said, welcome to the squad.
That
I'm curious
106.
to see how those top 5 shake out. Because I think, Keegan, to your point, I wouldn't be surprised if Neighbors potentially went 3 or 4. But we'll see. I think I'm pretty excited to see how drafts shake out this summer.
You're in a good spot if you pick 1 through 5 and even 6.
Even
the
through
first 6 picks
1
are
through
elite
7
picks.
too.
I'd say 7.
Bowers.
Yeah,
Bowers or Dunze, Neighbors, the 3 QBs, Harrison. It's pretty loaded. The 108 is where things get a little wonky. I'm curious to know how Jaden runs in his 40 time. Will he just have a blow up combine similar to A-Rich and he jumps ahead of Drake May? That's something I'm really going to be monitoring. I still think I prefer May to Daniels, even though Daniels is probably going to be electric for fantasy purposes. I just think long-term in Dynasty, May is just so automatic in my opinion. But I'm very curious to see Daniels at the combine. I think he could have an absolutely massive, massive performance. The 112 is really interesting here. It very much is like best pick available. I really like Keon Coleman as an option here. A lot of people in the Dynasty community are down on him as a contrarian play. I think he's quite good. So I'm thinking about him. I really like Xavier Worthy. Does he run like a 4.2 at the combine? People are saying he's probably going to test in the 4.3s. So he could have a massive, massive, massive opportunity. I think overall, I'm trying to be directional. And if I'm at the 112, I'm trying to get greedy. I probably just won my ship. And I want to take a big swing. And I'm going to take the best running back in this draft, in my opinion.
No,
I'm going to take
no.
the running back out of Oregon, Bucky Irving. Right now in sleeper ADP, he's way down there, but I think Bucky's going to have an amazing combine. I think he's going to have an incredible role in the NFL as a pass catching back. And in between the tackles, this guy's nasty too. You have size concerns, obviously, but Bucky is the exact type of running back that I want to bet on, and especially in Dynasty with his role as a pass catcher. So I'm taking Bucky easy there. All right, Aidan, you're on the clock.
All righty, we are back on the clock here. So at this point, you're sitting 1-2. Either you bought that pick or you were the second worst team in your league, and you need help. You need someone that's going to contribute, and ideally be on your team for some time. There's a couple different ways you could go here. I've got Caleb. You've still got Penix on the board, which is interesting. Depending on your QBs, you could double dip there. I'm not going to do that for this exercise. So I'd be looking at running back or wide receiver. I typically lean wide receivers personally. I think running backs have such a short shelf life, whereas, a wide receiver is going to be, a contributor on your team 5-10 years potentially. So at this point, I'm really looking at Keon Coleman versus Xavier Worthy. Sure, two quite different wide receivers. You've got Xavier Worthy, absolute burner, great speed. Keon Coleman, 6'4", huge frame, surprisingly good yak out of Florida State. When it comes down to it after the draft, it's really going to come down to fit here in terms of where both of these guys land. But Keon Coleman's tape really stands out to me. This what he can do at his size in terms of just like the catch radius and just like the quick twitch movements for a guy his size. It's kind of like it's not Quentin Johnson-esque in terms of like what he's doing yak and like what he was doing at TCU, but like it's kind of a similar, prospect eval when you're looking at his size and what he's able to do with the ball in his hand. So I'm going to go with Caleb. Keon Coleman. Feel really good with a quarterback and wide receiver out of the gate for my team.
Damn.
Oh, I thought you were going to have to take Blake Corum. I was so juiced.
I thought you were going to take Corum at 12.
No, I've just been bucking my Irving too much, man. I'm
that's
so
fair.
all in on Bucky.
This is tricky. This is definitely tricky here. I would have loved to have Keon Coleman at 2.5 here. I would have drafted Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, and potentially Blake Corum. But now I'm in the realm of, I don't love this running back class this year. Jonathan Brooks is intriguing in some ways to me. So is Trey Benson, but do I want to spend this pick on them when I could potentially get somebody like a Marshawn Lloyd in the third round, who I actually like better? And I think Blake Corum and Bucky Irving are better than these running backs that are left. They're off the board. There's a couple wide receivers that I'm trying to wait to see how they're going to do at the combine, or how they're going to do in the coming weeks, kind of with interviews and more stuff coming out. So I'm in a bit of a pinch here. I love my first pick in Malik Neighbors, elite wide receiver, immediately a starting caliber player who will be in my fantasy lineup probably from like week 1 and on, depending on how the rest of my team is, at least in the flex spot. So I could take a swing on a quarterback here that I personally like a lot, and that's Michael Penix. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
Knew it. Big Penix energy.
You would be pretty
energy
if you came out of a rookie draft this summer with
Neighbors
Penix and Neighbors. I don't think you would stop talking about it. So that's pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. I mean, there's some other players I like that are on the board. I don't hate Malachi Corley. I think Jalen Polk's an interesting player.
No.
Xavier Legette is also interesting. to me, but I'm going to stick with my gut here and draft kind of like one of my draft crushes of the season. Go with Michael Penix, and that will give me some flexibility at quarterback, especially in the Superflex format where if he does get an opportunity to start this game, he'll be a plug and play option. But if I already have some quarterbacks on the roster I like, maybe he gets to sit for a year, learn behind somebody, and take over a team next year. And then I'll be set up with a young ish QB for the future.
That sucked.
Oh no, I know what you're doing.
Malachi he's so high now. You can't even buy Malachi Corley. He was a 3rd round pick last week. Now he's in the middle of the 2nd round. That one hurts. I really like Corley. He's gotten a ton of positive buzz. People are calling him the next Debo. I don't know if anyone's the next Debo, but people are calling him the next Debo.
People are saying that?
People are saying that, man, because of what he can do after the catch. Steve Smith came out and just talked about how much he loved Malachi Corley, which is always a good sign. Steve Smith,
he's a ball knower.
Knows ball.
He knows
ball.
Yeah,
he certified ball knower.
He talked about how much he loved AD Mitchell, and I was like, ooh, I might need to take my fade off.
Move him up my board.
This is a tough one. I think there are a couple ones I have to take a long look at in this range. Jalen Polk has shown flashes as someone who could be a really good NFL wide receiver, possession-based receiver out of Washington. The running back out of Notre Dame, the guy's a tackle-breaking machine. He profiles as someone that could be really good at the next level. And I don't know if I can take 2 running backs here. And then, I'm going to do a dance with a man named Lad, and Lad McConkey is here at the end of the second. The soul snatching, route running merchant out of Georgia, man that can beat both man and press coverage. I feel like Lad, and I've comped him to Deontay Johnson with the way he can create separation. I think he has yak ability, missed tackles, force, juice. I don't know where he's going to land, but a lot of people that I really respect in this space have him as a top 30 player, especially Danny Kelly over at The Ringer. And he's done a great job at evaluating talent. I just think Lad's the type of slot receiver, possession wide receiver who can play inside and outside that you just really want in the NFL and is super valuable in PPR. So I'm pretty comfortably going to take Lad McConkey out of Georgia here as my last pick of this rookie draft. And I'm pretty excited about it. Not gonna lie. I'm leaving this rookie draft with Irving and McConkey. It's kind of great. So just to wrap things up here, Aidan, you had Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman, Keegan, Malik Neighbors, Michael Penix. I had Bucky Irving and Lad McConkey. Any surprises on the first 2 rounds here that you're thinking through 2 days away from the combine?
Bucky Irving going at 112 is very interesting. Like his testing could boost his like draft profile, because to me, in my mind, with this rookie draft, like we talked about in the beginning of the episode, like 1 through 6 or 7 picks is arguably pretty great. 8 is still a good pick. 9, 10, 11, there's still some first round talents, like the 2 quarterbacks that might go in the first round, and maybe potentially somebody like Brian Thomas. But I think 112 to about 2-5. Bucky Irving, AD Mitchell, Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Blake Corum, and potentially Penix are almost the same tier of players. So while I think it's interesting that Irving could go at 12, I don't see it as a positional like drop or like a drop off in talent right at the pick. Almost the whole second round is murky to me in terms of like who, because we're so early, we don't know landing spots, we don't know combine stuff. Like right now, everybody feels the same. So at 12, it's just a free for all from there to me. So it would be interesting to see like the testing numbers and some of these guys, the weigh-ins, like their true size. Here's some interviews as well too. But yeah, I think this second round to me will be the most interesting. And this draft is pretty deep.
It's
like,
deep.
You're going to tell me like Marshawn Lloyd's going to be a third round pick?
Second round, third round, there's some good guys.
There's some good running backs. I know this class has gotten billed as a bad running back draft, but Marshawn Lloyd, Bucky Irving, Blake Corum,
Trey Benson's a good running back too, like in his own regard.
I like Jonathan Brooks off the ACL is interesting. Like the second round is awesome this year. Like go stack some second round picks. You might be able to really really step up the running back depth on your rosters.
And here's some players that I'm scrolling through that are still available if you are in the third round from how this is all shaking out. Okay, so Allen, let's say, goes 3-1, but you're still talking about Jalen Polk, Xavier
Wilson.
Leggett, Notre Dame running back.
Pearsall out there.
Ricky Pearsall.
Ray
Davis.
Roman Wilson.
Oh, man, dude, I've got a ton of second and third round picks this year. I have 0 first round draft capital in all of my leagues, and I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to get some running backs and wide receivers that are going to get a chance to play on day one.
The combine's going to tell us a lot about these top receivers right now. Like, I think I'm going to learn a ton about A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, and Troy Franklin based off how they test, in my opinion. And Keon, too. All these, like, fringe wide receiver 1 type players, wide receiver 2, back end, round 1 wideouts that are super intriguing. They make this class so deep. I think we're going to learn a lot more about these guys at the combine in terms of like who we can comp them to historically. So I'm very excited to see how the receivers shake out. And I think this running back class is deeper than we're giving it credit for.
I agree. Yeah, I'm excited. One last thing too, I want to shout. I don't think Michael Penix falls this far in drafts, especially in Superflex, unless he like lands behind like, you know, a QB that's not going anywhere. You know, I think the person that takes like Marvin Harrison or Neighbors potentially at like, you know, 2, 3, 4. If Michael Penix gets there, you'd love to leave with a quarterback potentially. So I'd be shocked if he makes it 17 picks into your drafts, but we'll see pretty soon.
The gap between Penix, Nix, and McCarthy is not big. Like they're pretty even. When we did our quarterback episode, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, we all had them in the same tier and we all ranked it differently. I think it's pretty fair to have these guys neck and neck.
Yeah, like there's going to be drafts depending on, again, like very landing spot dependent, but like there's a world where Penix is going before Nix and McCarthy potentially. So yeah, I was shocked that he got to Keegan, but I wouldn't hold your breath if you're at home waiting for that to happen in a couple weeks after the draft.
We will update our rankings. We're going to have rookie wide receiver rankings, rookie RB rankings after the combine. We're going to do another mock draft after the combine as well. We're going to go through some of our risers and fallers. So a lot of rookie content out next week for you guys. Thank you again for tuning in, being a part of the Mean Team. If you were watching and you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We couldn't do it without you. All right, boys. Appreciate you hopping in, and until next time.
Later.